Right, as we get started, Jen, do you want to put our slide deck in the chat for
I have
us?
been.
Oh, you good. Okay.
Yeah,
If some
I'm on it.
You're good.
We're
We're
all
we're
set
old
to go.
at this. Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome. You are at Universal Supports that bring UDL principles to life. We are California Coalition for Inclusive Learning, and you have access to our slide deck. There's a QR code and also a tiny URL, and that information is also in our chat. So I'll start introducing since you hear my voice right now. I'm Fred Cochran. I'm a coordinator at San Joaquin County Office of Education and a CECL implementation specialist. And I'll hand that off to my colleagues. Heather, do you want to join next?
Yeah, my name's Heather Fujita. I work out of the Placer County Office of Education, and I'm also a coordinator for the CECL project. I get the love and the honor to go and share UDL in all places and spaces that will take us and have us. So we're excited for you guys to be here today, and I'll pass it on to my colleague, Jen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jen Hanks. I'm also a coordinator out of the Placer County Office of Education for the CECL project. And we're really excited to be presenting today and show you a lot of our universal supports that we have available.
Great. So this work that we are sharing with you today is part of the CECL leadership. We are, the work from our work is rooted in the Department of Education, the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, and a Placer County Office of Education. And we have quite a big partnership. The CECL project encompassed a number of county offices. So we are spread throughout the state of California in the services and resources that we can provide. So as an inclusive welcome today, we would like you to join in however you prefer. You can share in the chat or jot a note for yourself or simply pause to reflect. But keeping that in mind, think about this hour is about designing for inclusion together. And in one word or phrase, what comes to mind when you hear inclusive learning? So we'll give you an opportunity to jot something down and join us in the chat.
Fred, what comes to your mind when you think of inclusive learning? What's a word or a phrase for yourself?
Well,
We're waiting for chat.
Yeah, for me, it's about belonging. It's about really everyone is invited and is welcomed and is represented and valued.
Yeah.
I said a lot of words.
You did.
So
You
I do
did.
that all the time, don't I? Because I just love to talk. But
Yes.
belonging, I think, would be my word.
Yeah, belonging. Belonging, and I think it's also that intentional design so that you know that you're welcome and we've thought of you before you got there.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jen?
All, I guess.
All.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, if I only get one word, I'm going to go with all.
There you go.
I
Yep.
am not
Sums it
seeing
up.
anything in the chat, and I'm kind of curious if our participants, if it's enabled for all or just for us.
Yeah.
It looks like chat has been disabled, so that's unfortunate.
Okay,
Hopefully
so
we
note to selves,
Yes.
we won't be using the chat
All
other
right.
than for
So
us
it's
to
that
drop
jot a
information.
note to yourself or think quietly to yourself as we do a pause and reflect. Oh, there, chat is enabled now. Yay. Hello, participants. We can now hear you.
Yes, please enter your word. We'd love to interact with you.
All right, let me get over to my slide deck. Many right ways. Yes. There's just not one answer.
Oh, empowerment.
Love it.
Everybody, belonging, effective learning.
Oh, I love that.
Love it.
Okay.
Good. So today we want to offer a guiding question to you. How can CECL's universal supports help make inclusive learning a reality? And how can I choose the right tool for my context? So thinking about purpose and intent, what resonates with you? And this is just for you to think about right now as we go through this presentation with you. But we would really like to also ground us in this work around universal design for learning, around the foundational concepts. And you may know these, but we always start with the understanding that this is the work. The barrier is in the design, not the learner. It's necessary for one. What is necessary for one could be good for all. Learning variability is the norm. It's contextual and predictable, and it can be planned for. And the goal of UDL is learner agency. These are important to keep in mind as we look at the resources and share ways that you can interact with universal design for learning. So, as I said, variability is the norm. Every learner brings strengths, interests, and barriers. We've all experienced this. Adults, children, we all experience this. UDL helps us design flexible learning experiences so everyone can thrive. Everyone has access. And of course, that goal again is about agency and belonging. So building inclusive systems statewide, the California Coalition for Inclusive Learning supports educators, leaders, and families in designing systems where every learner belongs and learns. So Heather, I was happy that my word belonging shows up here. So
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think I hit it.
You hit it, right? You hit it.
Yeah.
So really, thank you, Fred. So really, our project has been about designing universal supports for the different levels. So student engagement, parent engagement, system engagement, and teacher. So one of the tasks is that we've left this repository of universal resources that we kind of want to take you through different resources that we have available for free and how what they are and how you can use them in the different contexts that you come with. So our website is the cecil.cast.org, and we're going to show you these different and highlight these different opportunities that we have for resources. So through our webinars, our top tips, and our Got a Minutes. Oops. Okay. So here is just, did that just open it up? Yes, it did. That's exactly what I didn't want to do. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what we're looking at now because it's not letting me get out. Where did our slide deck go? There it is. That's exactly what we didn't want to happen, right, guys? Sorry. Technology is fun.
We give each other grace, right?
I know we do.
Always.
We absolutely
always
do.
that.
Always.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not going to use my mouse on that. So I'm going to start with our top tips and really what those are. So this is really these quick wins, a real quick snapshot of how to bring UDL alive in different contexts. So they're bite-sized strategies for designing with UDL in mind, and they're organized by topics like collaboration, feedback, engagement. As you can see here, we have through the lens of UDL and inclusive learning through design. So our different topics really elevate the work of UDL. So beginning with building mindset all the way to supporting expert learning and building in self-reflection and assessment. So they're really quick one-pagers if you're having staff meetings or talking with families or meeting with teachers to really elevate that work in a quick bite-sized way. The next topic that we have is our Got a Minutes, and I love these. These are a learning series that offers the flexible time based learning modules in either 10, 20, or 45-minute modules. So educators can really get that depth and focus that fits their schedule and their learning style. So there could be articles to read or videos to examine or formats that really push you in your planning process when you're planning for that variability and anticipating those barriers that could be in that design. So they're organized when you click on those. They're organized by, you get the whole Google slide, or a module format, which Jen is going to kind of go into later to really show and highlight how those modules work. And then we have webinars, and this is really just to spark that reflection and equip educators and learners and families with that practical strategies and frameworks that create inclusive and equitable learning from the classroom to the system level. So with each webinar, you have access to the recording, to the slides, and all of the resources that are embedded in that. And I think that was an over 4-year project of webinars. So you'll see some faces come and go depending on who was in the project at the time. But we've got lots of topics up there like designing with assessments, family engagement, math, science, different contexts, social emotional, foundational reading. So lots of different topics to really dive into and just spend a quick hour with us learning about universal design. One of the things we're most excited to share that's up on the website, we always hear people say, what does it look like in action? How does UDL look like in action in practice? So we were able to put our videos of UDL in action on our website so you can see it come to life. So they're just short videos of educators and students applying UDL. So you'll see opportunities to just see the classroom with UDL considerations embedded in the lesson. You'll get to hear the teachers do a reflection or even the student's voice doing a reflection. So it's really powerful to see all sides and get real examples and real voices of UDL in action in the classroom. So teachers and leaders and parents have been really excited to have access to these quality videos of that. And then as Fred said, we have impact and reach through this project. And so we like to say that every region in California is with 100 miles of UDL implementation support. So there is a map, it's the reach and impact on our website. So you can see all the different county offices and grant partners that have been a part of this spread of UDL across California. And then we also have the Cecil project report that was published in partnership with CAST, that they looked at some of the schools that we were implementing, the LEAs that was implementing UDL, and did longitudinal studies, I'm sure I said that wrong, on the impact of UDL. So it's capturing that movement toward inclusive practices and really showcasing the growth, the collaboration, and the impact of these stories.
Heather, can I just jump in and share something or
Yes.
clarify something? As
Please.
Heather mentioned, everybody's within 100 miles of support, but if you're not sure who to reach out to, you can reach out directly to our team of 3 or just one of us. We will find that person for you. You don't have to go on the hunt.
Very good. Yes. Yes. So I just want to do a pause and reflect right now. We know the chat is open, so maybe you're thinking some things that we're showing, or you maybe have questions for us. So from what you've seen so far, what are the possibilities do these supports open up for your role or for your team? So we've shown you some quick tips, some videos, some webinars. Like we said, we were giving you all the slide decks and all the resources to really help UDL come to life within the different contexts. Okay.
Are you able to see the chat, Heather, or
I
would you like me to
am.
share? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. So I see Dr. Wright says the tools will help differentiate PD for your educators. Absolutely. And that's what we love about the GOTA minutes is too, because you can have them as, like I said, 10, 20, or 45-minute segments. And one application that we've seen used is if you're going to do a deep dive into maybe there's a session where you're looking at just redesigning a lesson for UDL. You can have some pre-learning happening through those GOTA minutes and do some asynchronous learning. So kind of have people grounded before you bring them all together. Yeah, and then using the resources as coaching tools with your school teams. Absolutely. I think I missed one there. Interested in the use of the action, the videos in action. Yeah, I really like to use the videos if I'm talking about going into classrooms and looking for evidence of UDL. So you can kind of use those to set the tone and to work with your teachers or your staff that you're working with to highlight UDL, to say, let's watch this video and see where's some instances what we see teachers doing or students doing or saying in support of UDL. So it really gives that opportunity to practice those skills before going into the classroom to do some look-fors. So that's one way that we have definitely used those UDL videos in action.
You know, Heather, one thing I just love about Got a Minute is because of, we're always faced with time, and we know that that can be very challenging for teachers or all educators actually. But knowing that you have different ways you can enter into Universal Design for Learning based on the amount of time that you can at least get started with, I think is really important to share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Time is always our barrier, right, Fred?
Right.
Always. All right. So I think it's that, and going back to that word that I said, that intentionality. So if you intentionally pull those and really design to give snippets of learning, I think it can help move that forward. I see another comment here, thinking of how this might expand into our expanded learning time. Yeah. So even getting those staff to be able to have opportunities to have learning sessions. So doing that either through asynchronous, or maybe you're going through those Got a Minute, or not Got a Minutes, the top tips, and just having, let's have this be our focus for the month of designing goals, or planning for, I don't know if there'd be assessments there. I'm trying to think of some topics that you could easily choose, but yeah, different doorways and how to support your staff in that expanded learning time. That's a great question. Okay, so I want to think about, you've seen some resources now, but let's think about some relevance, like who might use these and how. So thinking about maybe things that you hear. So ask yourself about supports, how they be applied, shift to how different people might engage with them. These resources are designed for everyone involved in learning, from the home supports from family all the way to that system level. So we're just going to explore how teachers, coaches, and leaders and families and the system could really use these and stretch that and strengthen inclusive practices. So if you think about it from that parent's lens, we might hear things like, I really want to help my child learn in ways that work best for them, or partnering with the schools to create consistent supports between that home and classroom. So some of the topics that a family may want to choose is maybe dive into that self-reflection. How can we empower our children to have that learner agency, and be able to kind of see what their goals are and reflect on how they're moving forward. Maybe it's looking at community partnerships through that lens of UDL, or even assessment. Assessment is a big hot topic because we've got a lot of ways. We've especially got those big state tests, and we've got ways of wanting to know how our students are learning, but how can we do that with UDL in the forefront of our mind and give options so that we can really see the richness that our students and our children are learning by having those intentional design options. So those may be some opportunities where families want to dive into the CESOL website. Another lens.
Heather, can we just clarify how they can find them that way? I know we're not showing the website itself. I can do it on mine, but all of these topics that Heather's using as recommendations for maybe a lens that you could use, you can actually go to a tab and it has those topics, and it will take you to the top tips, to the recorded webinars, to the Got a Minute series, all of those pieces if you're just looking for one topic.
Yeah, thank you for that. The other area that we focused on was the teacher lens. So you might hear or feel yourself as a teacher to say, well, this all sounds great. I love it. I'm ready to move on. I want more. Or where might I start? Or I'm stuck and can use some ideas, right? So maybe it's in intentionally setting those goals for our students, addressing barriers. How do we plan for and address barriers with that intentionality? How do we support that learner agency? Or again, supporting our students in their self-reflection. We've got a lot of literacy topics, so UDL through writing, through foundational reading, and then environment. How do we design our environment to be inclusive? What are we considering in the environment in terms of building that social emotional support in there, eliminating some of the distractions, and really considering how do we design for all, as Fred said. All right. And then that coach or leader lens, something that you might have heard is, we've had a few days of PD, it's all great. What might we do on an ongoing basis? How do we continue this? We know that PD is not as effective if it's just one and done. So how do we continue to have our growth through that learning? And then what are some additional resources available to support our learning beyond the professional learning days? So again, diving into those resources, as Jen said, there's tabs at the top, webinars, top tips, and Got a Minutes, and you get all the resources there for free in order to really implement within your context. You know your context best. Yes, Jen.
We have something in the chat. Where's the best place to start on the website to ensure that our PD is well developed and supported?
That is a great question.
I thought
and
so
I think yeah, I think you have to know your context. The places that I've started with teams is in mindset, just building that idea of what does it mean to be inclusive? What does it mean to design for all? If you feel that your team is already through there, then I would probably go through there might be some goal setting. We know that in order to even start designing through the lens of UDL, we have to know what our goal is, and we have to know what barriers we may be anticipating. So I think I would take it through that, the order that it's in, and kind of do a needs assessment of where are your teachers right now? Do you need to do some mindset building? Do you need to have support with building those goals? Would be a great place. Fred or Jen, do you guys have anything to add as well?
No, I agree with you. Mindset is really where I always like to go, because, and I try to kind of create kind of a different picture of universal design for learning with our adult learners, around the fact that we can live UDL 24/7. It happens in our lives, and we empower adults to understand that can be transformed into their practice in the designs of their lessons. So I'm totally on board with mindset and really getting people inspired to, you know, to be able to reflect on their own experiences, to understand why that's important for their students to experience as well.
Yeah.
I think those are both great recommendations if you're looking for the topic of where to start. If you're just looking for professional development, I will share more of how I would utilize the asynchronous modules of a Got a Minute to design PD for my staff in a few slides. But that's the PD route I would go regardless of the topic.
Yeah. So we will get an opportunity to dive into the website in a moment, and Jen's going to model for us how she would use that and set up a PD around a specific topic. And then, like she said, you could use whatever topic worked for you and your context. So, okay, excellent. Great question. In the last few years of our grant, we started at the classroom and in the beginning of the grant, and got some really good pockets of UDL. Teachers were on board. They wanted to plan for inclusive practices, but we realized if we didn't have the system helping and supporting, then we just got really good pockets of UDL. So we also expanded our supports to the systems level. So how can the system support universal design for learning? So things that you might hear or feel in your system is, what systems or structures can we strengthen to make inclusive practices the norm? And then how might our systems create the conditions where UDL and inclusive design can thrive? It's just how we do business, right? So some of the things that we have as the system lens is that accessibility for assessment. There's an instructional series there. We have IEP series. We have alternative dispute to resolution series, and then the universally designing for SST process. So really taking what systems do you have currently going in your own system, but how do you slant it to say, we're going to plan for that variability and we're going to anticipate the barriers and really design systems that can thrive for inclusive spaces and places. So we're just going to do another pause and reflect. So based on your context, what's resonating for you? What might you use, and who on your team could benefit from these tools? We are all about sharing and caring and providing. And so how can you share these tools? Maybe there's somebody on your team or on your professional development team that could really thrive or resonate with some of these tools. So as we make a transition to our next part, I'm going to unshare my screen and hand that over to Jen.
You're still sharing, Heather.
Oh, I thought I was done. Sorry, on my end, it looked different. Oh, tech. Right. Am I done sharing?
Oh yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm looking at the chat and I see the importance of starting with mindset. Yes, it sounds like that resonated with people. I like that.
All right. So as we mentioned, we thought we would share with you how you might want to consider looking at a module for a Got a Minute series. The one we're going to explore, because we did find out in the last couple of years of our grant work, and it's continuing on this year, is how much we should probably spend a little bit of time looking at universally designing career technical education, or CTE. And so we're going to see how the content and structure support flexible learning. And rather than diving deep into content, we'll notice how the module models universal design for learning and offers multiple entry points for engagement. So this direct link, as we're looking at it, just think about the Got a Minute series and how do you see universal design for learning connecting to hands-on career-based learning is kind of the guiding question for our Got a Minute. Okay, website, be my friend. There we go. So when you are in the asynchronous modules, you have a course and you can start the course, but you'll also see before you start the course what the course goals are. This is for every single topic, the guiding questions. And then just like Heather mentioned, whether you're doing the asynchronous module that I'm demoing here, or whether or not you're using the Got a Minute series where you have a slide deck and you're going through, you'll see here's how you can use 10 minutes of learning. Here's 20 minutes. Here's 45 minutes. And then extra if you got another minute. And so when we first look at this, and what I would be doing, me personally, is I would be going through this with people either in person or virtually, rather than just asking a team, hey, do you want to go look at this on your own? I would be using this as my way of delivering PD and providing them options, both digitally as well as in person, maybe giving hard copies. But every Got a Minute module has a note-taking guide. So you can offer this note-taking guide virtually or paper pencil if you're in person. There's also design considerations, another optional template. Again, this exists for every one of these modules. So this is, okay, are we ready? Do we have all our supplies? Yes. Now we have 10 minutes of learning. So if we have 10 minutes of time, the outcome for this particular piece would be participants will explore CTE from a student's perspective and reflect on how access to CTE might have shaped your own career choices and readiness. And this varies from module to module, what items are in the 10 minutes, but we know that between the activities, it should take no more than 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, if I still have more time, I can go to the 20 minutes. And now we're in CTE and UDL in practice, but then there's optional, and this is in pretty much every module, UDL refresh. So if somebody is like, oh yeah, I kind of remember, they can choose to look at the principles again, or the design process, or the guidelines. And then we have this explore and reflect. Flip a card for some UDL and CTE ideas. And so if somebody's thinking about, okay, what do I do for engagement when it comes to this? They're going to be content specific. So career aligned choice boards. So in a health science class, students choose to explore roles like EMT, nurse, or lab tech through interviews, case studies, or simulations. And obviously, this is just one pathway, and our state offers 58 pathways. So people have to think a little bit outside the box at times. And you can go through these, there's reflection questions, and then it just keeps going. You got 15 more minutes. Here we go. Now we're up to the 45 minutes of learning, and you're going to have things that you can try, an application, and go through upcoming lessons. And then in the got another minute part is always going to be additional resources. And look at all of these amazing articles, amazing career tech ed curriculum resources. And then the feedback on the iterative resources is always an optional piece. So for me, I would be working with a team going through this Got a Minute series. The other option for Got a Minutes is to, I'm going to go back to Career Tech Ed just so that you can see the difference. Here is Career Technical Education. We have the Google Slides. So you could choose to use the Got a Minute series where you are demoing the slides, going through the pieces, which is very similar, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes. And there's a lot of the same resources. I just think guiding participants and giving them the option of doing the asynchronous module while you're demoing the module might be a way to increase engagement. So that being said, I wanted to take a moment since someone had asked in the chat. This is our website, and you'll see we have things sorted by Got a Minutes, by top tips, by webinars. Our UDL in action is also where the videos are, but then you can do the resources by topic. And so if you choose to do through the lens of UDL, and we're sticking with Career Technical Education demo, you're going to come where you find everything about that topic in one place, which will include the Got a Minutes. It'll include if we have webinars, the top tips, all of those pieces. So there's many, many ways to navigate our website, depending on what you're looking for, whether topic specific, PD specific, all of those pieces. So I think got to get back to here. Was there any questions in the chat about that piece?
No, not yet. But if we wanted to take a moment to pause, since we were in the website, is there any additional questions in terms of navigating or how to use the resources that we could have Jen model? I'm looking at the time now, and we have a few moments. Okay. I had a question, you were there, but I totally forgot about it. Okay, so as a result of planning for this webinar, this session, we developed a top tips for navigating CECL's universal supports. So taking the idea of having access to the website, so talking about what the core ideas are, really highlighting what the different elements are from top tips to Got a Minutes to webinars, and then questions you might want to reflect on. So how might the universal supports align with your goal or initiatives? How might these tools expand your approach to inclusive design? Or what's one resource you could explore or share this month? There's just kind of questioning and pushing on how to use some supports and resources in order to expand that UDL. And then there's also just kind of the quick wins of implementation. I think Jen kind of talked some of those, of how you would use those supports in supporting teachers. So featuring a top tip maybe in a staff meeting or in their PLC or their professional learning communities, maybe watching a webinar series and identifying a takeaway to apply for that month, or maybe set up a shared space for staff to learn and reflect, and then celebrate the small wins and examples of UDL in action that are happening within your place and in your context. So just some quick top tips of how to really utilize these universal resources and bring UDL alive in your different places and spaces. One thing that Jen mentioned was feedback. So on our website, you'll notice that it says share feedback. on different places, either at the top or the bottom. We kind of have it all over. It goes to the same survey. It goes to a live person. We read those. We want to hear your input on our shared resources and ways that we can help develop and continue to support this work on inclusive design in different contexts. So please visit our feedback form. Again, it does go to a live person. Okay.
We might want to add too that the website will continue, as Heather said, continue to be updated over the next 5 years. I think we have this. So CAST is partnering with us to be sure that resources are available and accessible. So it's not a one and done. So, and your feedback is really important in order for us to address whatever it is. You know, we can find it for you. You just reach out to us if there's something missing or it just doesn't resonate with you. Okay.
Yeah. And Cecil's always producing more content in support of Universal Design for Learning. So we're also updating the CCEE resource hub that I believe Mindy mentioned at the beginning of the this learning series today. So we will also have resources in there as well.
Yeah. Wow. That was a lot of content.
I know.
And resources, I know. And we know that resources sometimes come in a thunderstorm in a ways to us. And I think a lot of thought went into how this was designed to be helpful and useful for you, rather than just putting a bunch of information out there. So again, we do appreciate feedback in order to be sure that this is the best access for you around Universal Design for Learning. So great. Okay. So we would like to have an intentional close with you to kind of take this forward. So we would love to hear from you. Again, chat in the chat, or a note to yourself, or simply pause to reflect. So your turn now is to design for all learners. So drop one word in chat that captures what you're taking with you. And of course, together, we're shaping California's story of belonging. Again, my word is there, right?
I see the theme.
Yeah, that was it. I was on the money there. And but we would really love to hear what's capturing you. And if it's more than one word, we're okay with that too. But because sometimes it's hard, just like you hear me, I can't stop talking, right, about Universal Design for Learning. So please let us know. Drop something in the chat.
I see resources. I see, thank you so much. Thank you for this information. Ooh, I see hope. Parents are learners too. Yes. Widening access. Guidance for my teachers and our students.
That's wonderful.
Love that.
Yeah. We do have one more slide. This is very important too. We need your feedback too in just looking at this presentation today. And this is the end of session survey. Based on this being a customized workshop, the QPLS survey link is really helpful for us to gather data, because this is the work. The work can't be done without some evidence of the impact that we as a grant have been providing to educators across the state of California. We appreciate you taking a few moments, because we're giving you a little bit of a gift of time, to be able to fill this out so that we have that data to share with others.
Can one of you please drop it in the chat? I can't seem to get it when I'm screen sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get it.
Thank you.
And I was just going to comment, because I don't know if Fred's can see the chat as he's talking, but it says one of the things that they're taking away is the community engagement in this process. Yes, that's huge. We know that we cannot do this work without all the layers that bring into our students' lives, right? From the family to the community to the system, to teachers, support staff that all wraps around and supports in service of our students, right? And then Jen says, I have so many tabs open now, full of all these resources. Woot, woot. So we love that. As a teacher, I love to beg, borrow, steal all free resources. So I would have so loved having this website as a teacher, but I'm very happy to be a part of it at the systems level and design. I see, is this session considered UDL guidelines in the survey? It's considered a customized workshop. Thank you for asking that, Virginia. Customized workshop. Okay, well, with that, yes, we did just give the gift of time, didn't we?
And
so
we were worried about running out of time.
I
So we all
know,
went so
50
fast.
minutes is so intimidating, right? We wanted to make sure to give you all the great stuff. So we want to thank you for spending your afternoon with us and coming to hear about Universal Design for Learning and how we can bring these principles to life with real, free, amazing resources that there's been a team of people in the background making these and really trying to support all levels of designing universal supports.
And please reach out to us.
Yes, you have our email addresses.
We love to network, and we, can share availability and ways that we can help connect you with the great work that's happening in the state.